AMD just rocked CES and no one saw it coming. Let's talk about it. As we all know, the 9800X3D has been one of the hottest CPUs out on the market. Just at 8 cores though, it still has its own limitations. So AMD just announced the 9900X X3D and the 9950 X3D, which eliminates the issue of just 8 cores. So now, not only is it a gaming CPU, now it's gonna be good for production and content creation as well. So starting off with the 9950 X3D, it's still rocking the 16 cores, 32 threads, just like the 7950 X3D, but the boost clock is now at 5.7 gigahertz, and the L3 cache is up at 144 megabytes. It's also still rocking the 170 watt TDP as well, and it still has capabilities now of overclocking versus its predecessor, which you could not do. Now, there is one thing I was looking forward to the next generation of X3D. I was hoping with the 9900X and the 9950 is that they had dual CCD cache for the X3D, but unfortunately that did not get announced. They said it's gonna be still a single X3D cache, while the other one is still rocking the standard CCD as well. So what that means is before we had some issues with Windows making sure to park its cores when you're gaming and when you're not gaming. So those issues might still arise, so you kind of have to do probably some tweaking in the BIOS or some tweaking in Windows, or you can even use the new AMD Ryzen Master software to park the cores correctly. Hopefully AMD did solve that problem with the new CPUs that are coming out. And if they did, honestly, I feel like they're gonna rock this industry for sure, and Intel will definitely have some good competition. AMD is claiming that this CPU across 40 games, it was averaging 8% faster performance than the 7950 X3D. Now that's a good boost in performance by all means. Now just keep in mind though, this is coming from AMD. Now we need to test this personally in-house. As you all know, these companies like to pick and choose certain games and settings to get their numbers. As far as comparing to the 285K from Intel, the claims are pretty big. They're stating it's up to 64% faster than the 285K. Now that benchmark was with Counter-Strike, but across 40 games, they're saying on average, it's gonna be a 20% uplift against the 285K. Now, if this is true and accurate, we have a very, very good series of CPUs coming out from AMD. I feel like they actually get this right, if they get the software correct, this CPU will definitely be the new king for gaming and productivity at the same time. All right, so this is where it really separates the performance from the 9800X3D to the 9900X and the 9950 X3D. You have the extra cores for productivity, video editing, streaming, whatever it may be. That's the biggest limitation with the 9800X3D. For gaming, it's phenomenal. For everything else, you might run into some issues. So the 9950X with its 16 cores, 32 threads, it allows you to do so much more. So this is where the variety comes in, where you can game and still get the same performance as the 9800X3D, or you could do productivity as well when it comes to anything you like, essentially. So all of this with a TDP of 170 watts is phenomenal. There's been a big issue in this industry when it comes to wattage. We've been noticing that they've been increasing the wattage slowly on CPUs and GPUs, and we're going back to that whole era of you needing a lot of wattage pretty much to run a system nowadays. So the TDP on a 285K and an old generation 1400K, you're looking at 250 watts. So now the 9950 X3D with 16 cores, 32 threads, and 144 megabytes of L3 cache at 170 watts is pretty phenomenal. So that's the biggest difference. This will allow your wattage and your temperatures to be a bit better on your PC. Now moving on to the 9900X, very similar performance as the 9950X when it comes to the gaming side, since the X3D cache is very similar. The difference here is you're going down in core count. So you're going down to 12 cores, 24 threads. You're still rocking a pretty high megabyte L3 cache, which is at 140 megabytes. And the TDP goes all the way down to 120 watts. Again, that is extremely impressive. While they didn't talk too much about performance with the 9900X3D, we can probably expect it to be in the between of the 9800X3D performance and the 9950 X3D. But let's talk about release dates and potential pricing. While the price is still to be determined, as we know, the previous generation when it launched, it was right around that $699 price point. So you could expect the 9950 to be right around the $700 price point. It could be even a little bit more. And the 9950X right around the $500 to $600 price point. And with those prices, you could expect the launch for the CPUs to be in March of this year. While we can't wait to get our hands with these CPUs, unfortunately we have to wait till March, but for CES, it looks like we're kicking off real strong this year.